conversation.
You are so weird sometimes. We haven't done a creepy coffee in like a number of months, but my name's Brett.
And I'm Kelly.
And together we're Love Best in Belfry. And welcome back to Creepy Coffee and Conversation number, I don't know.
I don't think we count anymore.
We don't count anymore. But happy October, everybody. We decided, I guess, to kick off the spooky season watching a true crime documentary. And it's called An American Murder, The Family Next Door.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you know who Chris Watts is, but it's basically, this is like almost a very real, it's a very different feel of a documentary, unlike other true crime documentaries.
Yeah.
Obviously, most documentaries, you have the interview type style. It has many different people, like from whether it was a detective on the case, like, you know, family members of a victim, like, you know, family members of a killer. But this is a very real, there's no interviews whatsoever. None. Pretty much it's told through the entire story of everything that happens with the Chris Watts case is told through literal internet videos.
And body cams.
And body cams, exactly. And so it's, you know, your typical like 90-minute documentary. But I thought when we first started it, I thought it was going to start off like how it did, where it had like a cop's like camera when he was called to the house of Shanann, and like no one was home, and like her one friend was like really worried about her, but then turns out she was missing. Mm-hmm. And so you're fascinated with the Chris Watts case.
I sure am.
So if for some reason you're not sure what that is about, Chris Watts basically killed his wife, 2 children, and his pregnant wife.
Yeah. With
child, and then their 2 kids, and pretty much obviously is in prison at this point, but
lifetime sentence.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know, this documentary was just so real. It was like,
yeah, I thought it was a little bit strange.
It was like it was I felt like I shouldn't have, like, this is actually the best way to describe it is like if you are a fly on the wall. Mm-hmm. That's what this whole documentary is. It's like you're watching stuff you feel like you shouldn't be watching.
Yeah, there was a lot of like private conversations that had been shared. There were lots of texts on the screen of different things she had sent to her friends, different text messages back and forth between Shanann and Chris, days before the murder. And
Shanann was like she did a lot of like marketing and sales online, and so she basically like documented like her entire life.
Yeah, a lot of direct sales. If you know anything about direct sales, you know that a lot of your online presence, you know, works for you very well. And so she posted everything that she did, which is why they had so much material.
They had so much stuff to work with and show, because it was like she had to have lived on her phone. Because
and so that's what's so fascinating about this case, is that their relationship seemed so like perfect. Like they were so happy. All she ever did was talk about how amazing her husband was and how he like changed her life and just like saved her. And they had the most beautiful children. Like they had just found out that she was pregnant. She shared that video of like Chris finding out. Mm-hmm. But little did she know he had been, you know, having an affair with someone from work. Yep. And she started catching on because they weren't intimate anymore. She went away for like weeks. I forget how long. Yeah. And he like wasn't calling. He didn't miss her. All this other stuff.
Very, very distant.
So.
And I think that's a lot of why a lot of people were so fascinated with the Chris Watts case, because at least in all like these videos that like she had posted, anytime Chris was like on camera, like he was so like, I don't know, he was just so nice, and like, you know, the kids loved him, and it's just like they never came off as like a family that had issues.
No.
Or it's like Chris didn't ever come off as like, you would not look at this guy and think like he's gonna kill his family.
And that's why I'm so, like, flabbergasted by it.
That's
because,
why
like,
so many people are like fascinated with that case, because you just would never suspect that.
And, like, watching him and the interviews with him as they were looking for Shanann and the girls, like,
They were missing, what, about 3 days? 3 or
Yeah.
4 days?
before he confessed.
Before he confessed.
Well, partially confessed.
Yeah, but everyone connected the dots right away.
Yeah, everyone. I think they knew when they were interviewing him on the front porch. Like,
Yeah.
that video that was all over the news. Like, he's like smiling halfway through, and I think so many people.
Yeah,
I
like
had
the news interview, like he was like smirking the whole time. He's like, please come home. Like,
Yeah, I just want you to come home. Like, you
Yeah.
do not look like a husband that gives two craps about where your family is right now.
Seriously. And yeah, even, I mean, this was a video that was all over the like internet too before this documentary like came out. But the footage of the cop when he was in Chris Watts' home, and his neighbor had like
Oh, that
had
was
like
dangerous.
yeah, his neighbor had like security footage from his house, like, but you couldn't really see anything. But and then the cop didn't really fully suspect anything from Chris, but his neighbor like once Chris left the room, the neighbor was like, dude, he's acting really weird.
Right.
Like, he's so like fidgety, and he's not being himself at all.
Right. Like, apparently, like, Chris was super chill and, like, really quiet and, like, reserved. And Chris was, like, all chatty and, like, couldn't stand still, like, kept swaying back and forth and, like, circling and, like, kept going like this with his hands, like, you know, like, this, like, body language is so, like, I don't need to be an expert to look at that body language and be like, he is stressed out about something.
Yeah, but not what you think. And
Right. Not what you would expect.
yeah. So I don't know. I know this is a documentary people are gonna watch and be really like, I don't even know. I wouldn't say traumatized, but really feel disturbed by. I mean the people who were in the room with him when he was just talking about the whole situation, like, what was it, the lady that was giving him the polygraph test, like, she knew something was up and was just like, she just came clean right away. She was like, look, I told you not to lie because it's a polygraph and you did not pass your polygraph. Like, the lines were going everywhere.
Yeah.
And you definitely lied about a lot of this, so you just need to,
She was like, this ends now.
yeah, just tell me what happened.
Right.
And
She was good.
yeah, really good. And what was it? Chris's dad had come, and then he pretty much, like, his dad was basically the person that like got him to say, like, he's like, I had to kill her because, but he made up a thing saying that Shanann had were like killing the children.
Right. She was saying, like, you'll never have them, and, like, was suffocating them. That's
Yeah,
what
and
that
then
was his
so
story.
it was like his story was like, I had to kill her.
I snapped and I killed her because she hurt my babies. And that's, like, everybody knows that that's not true. And I think the most disturbing thing is, like, I'm not by any means saying that killing your wife is okay, ever. Killing anyone. Murder is not cool. But, like, it's one thing to murder out of lust or because of an affair, or, you know, that motive is common and happens a lot more than you would ever want to think. But to then take your children that are like 4 and 2
So young.
out there and shove them into an oil tank that's 8 inches wide, like, that is the part that I just cannot wrap my mind around. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how someone that, like, normal or, like, sane could carry out something like that.
Definitely. And
It just makes you think about our brains and, like, what we're actually capable of, and, like,
yeah,
it's
and
pretty scary.
yeah, and like based on this, yeah, the circumstances of like what exactly made him like snap. Like, was it a combination of everything? The fact that was like he wasn't happy with his wife. He had an affair with a coworker
For, like, 2 months.
Yeah, and he had like this, I guess, this fantasy of, you know, being with this person, but and just dealing with his wife. So, and it was like, I mean, his wife was, I mean, a very certain way. So it's like, obviously with, you know, couples and married couples, it's like marriage is obviously hard, but it's strange of just like how someone of his personality, it's like, it's so hard, what you said, like to wrap your mind around that.
Yeah, like how is he capable of something like that?
Exactly.
For somebody that you've known for like 2 months.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's very, very scary. And like she even went to the police and was like, he is sketching me out. I don't know the full story about her, the other woman from his work.
Yeah,
But she
they
was
only,
included.
yeah, I mean, they only briefly like got her side, like through like an interrogation video.
Because I think she needed to show like I had nothing to do with this. Like
Yeah,
he told me
'cause-
that they were already divorced.
Yeah, because they had even asked her about like everything that had happened, and like she was like truly disgusted by it. So yeah,
I can't even imagine being her. Like
yeah, and then to find that out. So
it's terrible.
yeah, she had a feeling, at least in like the interrogation like video they had showed, like she had said, she's like, I always had a feeling like he's just such a liar. Like, you know, he just would say all these things just to make you feel better.
Right.
Or just to say like, hey, I'm gonna make this right. So I don't know. It's tough. It's obviously like bringing it up and such. It's like it's a really touchy subject, but this is something that's, I mean, when we watched it, I mean, obviously, I mean, us making this video has only been out for like what, 3 days or something like that, but it was #1 like on Netflix the day it came out. So
And they had been advertising it like I think a week or 2 before they released it. It definitely like it made me cry. Like the videos of the little girls, I think, like really like were upsetting to see, you know.
Yeah, because there was one video they had showed that like there was like one of the kids was like, my daddy's my hero, and you know, it's like
song, yeah.
It's like that's really rough, and yeah, it's tough, like especially being a parent, like watching this, it's like it's hard. I'm not a parent, but if you are, sorry, I meant to word that differently. But if you are a parent, this is probably going to be a tough watch for you, because just thinking about that circumstance and everything that happened. So yeah, I can't imagine. It's like obviously that would affect you so much more than it would affect me. I don't have kids, not yet, but yeah. So I mean, would you say you would recommend people watch it?
I mean, it's definitely a tough watch. I think, you know, it depends on how much you feel like you can handle, because it is so personal, and it does kind of feel like you're watching things that like you shouldn't really have a right to watch, or
it's
like
almost
would
like
Shanann want you to read these messages? Like
it's almost like watching like a therapy session in a way. Like you feel like you're like in a therapist's office with someone else telling their like big secrets to somebody.
Yeah, it just
where you're like, I shouldn't be here. Like that's at least the feeling I had gotten when watching
I don't know. I feel weird about saying I recommend it, I guess. I don't know. It's like, I think it's worth watching to remember the lives that were stolen.
Yeah. And I would say, especially if you were only briefly heard about this and you wanted to know more, like everything you need to know is in this documentary.
See, I feel different.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like they didn't really explain a lot. Like no one ever got on and said, this documentary is about, like there was no narration. This documentary was about Chris Watts, who, you know, brutally murdered his wife and 2 unborn son and 2 daughters. This is where he took them. He wasn't, you know, he didn't confess for 3 days. This is the story about how things unfolded. Like, there's nothing that's said. It just starts with, like, videos from phones. I
mean, it had said it in the very beginning. I don't know if you missed that, but it said this documentary is using footage only from internet, like body cams and like
I saw that.
Okay. But yeah, that's a fair point. So, yeah, I guess, like, just seeing it in the perspective of, like, Shanann and, like, their community, like, this is a good way of telling that story. But yeah, I would say, like, if you were, like, curious about the actual, like, people involved in the case and, like, talking about everything that went down, there's obviously what we said before, there's no interviews of
Right.
of anybody.
Right.
So it's hard to get, like, other people's perspectives on it. But I mean, I think in a way that's kind of a good thing that it was presented in this way. So it's like you can kind of have your own perspective on it, you know. So, and obviously with documentaries, I believe that no matter what way you tell something, someone's gonna try and say it's one-sided, because it's like, in a way, this is Shanann's story.
Well, how could it be one-sided? It's like, what he did was, like, so wrong.
Very
so it's
true.
like, you know, like, I don't know. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's
'Cause
like
most documentaries,
it's
of
telling,
course, are.
yeah, because it's just telling, like, the one side of the
Like
story.
The Staircase.
Yeah, exactly. The Staircase is a perfect example of a documentary that's so one-sided.
Right.
While it is a very good documentary,
Very good.
you only follow Michael Peterson and his lawyer and his team, like,
Right.
defending him.
But that's different because it's like their true story is still not known, and I'm not sure if it ever will be for
No.
that case.
No, that's why
But-
the owl theory was made up.
Yeah. But like with Shanann Watts and Chris Watts, like, he confessed and he's in prison for life. You know, they didn't even want to give him the death sentence because they were like, no, you deserve to rot
Yeah,
in
they
prison.
want
Like,
you to rot. Yeah, in prison.
I don't agree with the death sentence anyway, but like,
Yeah.
it's just like, I think that's where the whole, like, different perspective thing kind of, like, I would be very interested to hear, like, what his public defender had to say.
Oh yeah, like
That would be so interesting.
yeah, and I know that, like, a lot of, like, news articles or just online articles are coming out because this is very fresh and new. So I am sure, you know, right at this moment there could be, like, a story that was, like, published online saying something about, from the perspective of Chris Watts himself, being like, this documentary is bogus. Like, obviously that's not a true statement. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But
I did read that article I shared with you about how he was so upset and feels like he's been, like, what was the word? They didn't say, like, triggered, but, like, he was feeling, like, upset that all of that personal information was going to be out there. And it's like,
but it's you realize one way or another, like, this type of information would get out there.
also,
Obviously, you
murdered
murdered your
4
family.
people.
Yeah, you murdered your family. Like, I'm sorry, your feelings are
Irrelevant.
yeah,
They
your
don't
feelings
matter.
are irrelevant here.
Like, you have rights. Okay, yes. I'm glad you're being taken care of. You're in prison. Whatever. You get to eat and sleep. And that's it. No one cares about what you think about messages, because as soon as you murdered your wife, your privacy with her was just thrown out the window.
Agreed.
So, I have no sympathy for him at all.
Yeah. There's yeah, there's a lot of, like, serial killers and such that, like, people can kind of, like, have sympathy for and such, but yeah, with Chris Watts, like,
None.
sorry dude, you had an affair with a coworker and you were just driven mad to kill your family.
Right.
Like, there's no justification for that.
Somebody pointed out that they left out, like, the financial piece of things. Like, he was, like, struggling financially. Where did I hear that? I don't know. But I read somewhere that he was struggling financially, and that had
Okay.
something to do with it as well.
Okay.
But they didn't talk about that in this documentary.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't recall if they had ever mentioned that.
No, but I just know I read it somewhere else. So maybe that had something to do with it as well, and that was part of his motive. I don't really know. I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, the overall fascination of why, like, people
It's
were
just-
interested is because it's like, if you had a family and you had, like, a supposedly perfect husband or wife, like, it's just hard to wrap your mind around. It's like, why would they just, like, lose mind like that.
Right.
And I mean, it's funny because we're getting married like very soon. So, and then just seeing like both of us watch this, documentary and such.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of me.
I need to get my stress ball.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a scary thing of just what people are capable of.
Exactly, and that's what I'm so fascinated by as far as true crime is like that kind of stuff actually really scares me.
Yeah.
And that's why I listen to it and that's why I watch it, because it's like the more you know, the better. Like the more you can like dissect other people and the horrible things that they've done, like the more I feel like you're just prepared.
Yeah.
Not saying that you would kill me, but like I don't know. It's good to have that knowledge, I think.
Yeah, and to the point of like, how does the mind break down so much that they feel murder is the answer?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, any last thoughts?
I don't really think I do. I just want to say a lot of things I can't say on YouTube about him. So,
well,
you can imagine what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I can too. But
and rest in peace.
Yeah. So, I mean, we want to thank you for watching this Creepy Coffee and Conversation video. This is probably the darkest one we've ever done, would you say?
Yeah, you'll have to let us know what you guys thought about it in the comments if you watched it.
Yeah, if you watched this documentary, and let us know your thoughts on it. And yeah, appreciate you tuning in to Love Bats in the Belfry. My name is Brett.
And I'm Kelly.
I'm out of coffee, and I think we need to go watch like
My Little Pony or something.
Yeah, like kind of, in the words of Mr. Miyagi or in Cobra Kai, like you got to find that balance.
Yeah, you do.
So yeah, we got to go do something fun and happy. Wash ourselves of, this awful subject. So, but thank you for joining me today. Just like you join me in basically every video.
Now I think I should go get some self-defense skills just in case. Bye guys.
Bye everyone.